Buckle your seatbelt. It's time for another episode of the Prepper Recon Podcast. I've personally been buying gold and silver from JM Bullion for over 2 years. They offer the best prices over spot that I can find, and I've never had a problem with an order. If you're looking to trade in some of your fiat paper for real money, check out jmbullion.com today. Ready Made Resources is a trusted name in the prepper community because they've been around for 18 years. They offer great prices on night vision, water filtration, long-term storage food, solar energy components, and provide free technical service. Get ready for an uncertain future at readymaderesources.com. Hey preppers and patriots, we're having another prepper powwow today, so it's just you and me again. Today I'll be giving some essential tips on staying alive after an EMP or complete societal meltdown. An EMP is probably the most catastrophic scenario we can imagine, but there are other threats looming that can take society to its knees. If you've seen any of the video footage of the riots and looting going on in Venezuela right now, you'll see that all it takes is 51% of the people to vote socialist, and then everything just falls apart. While that takes a little longer to play out than an EMP, it spells absolute destruction nonetheless. Before we get started, I've got a quick announcement. My new book, Ichabod, is finally available. It's the second book in the 7 Cows, Ugly and Gaunt series, which follows Danny Walker, a young college student, who has a prophetic dream about an EMP. He uses his time wisely and does what he can to prepare. When the EMP strike happens, Danny and his friends bug out to his grandmother's farm in North Carolina and begin working with neighbors to form a mutual assistance group. It's out right now in paperback and Kindle edition. For the audiobook fans, Kevin Pierce has already finished production, and we're just waiting on Audible to approve the book. That can take anywhere from a week to maybe 4 weeks to get approved. Which, if you're a fan of the podcast, audiobooks are fantastic. You can listen in the car, at the gym, while you're gardening, or wherever you listen to the podcast. Audible offers 1 free book with a trial membership, so if you want to give it a shot, you've got nothing to lose. If you never listen to an audiobook, why not use your free trial to listen to Behold Darkness and Sorrow, which was book 1 in the 7 Cows, Ugly and Gaunt series. Then, if you like it, you'll be up to speed by the time Ichabod is approved by Audible. As always, we're having another giveaway to celebrate the release of the book. One first prize winner will win a custom Prepper Recon individual first aid kit, which is totally decked out. It's got a Israeli battle dressing, quit clot blood stopper, EMT shears, a suture kit, all the essentials that you need for a traumatic injury. It's got the first prize winner is also going to get a pair of 550 paracord shoelaces, so you'll always have paracord with you, and a 30-count bottle of fish flux amoxicillin, which is great if your fish happens to get an infection during the apocalypse. There are people that use fish antibiotics to treat themselves because they're manufactured in the same plants as regular antibiotics and under the same standards, and the pills actually have the same dosage and the same coloration and the same numerical markings on the side as what you would get prescribed by a doctor, yet you can get those and stockpile those without a prescription. So I'm not saying to do it, I'm just saying that there are people that do use fish amoxicillin for those purposes. Of course, we're giving them away for you to use on your pets. One second prize winner will win a pair of 550 paracord shoelaces, a pocket stove, and 2 rolls of fiber fix, which is essentially duct tape on steroids. You can fix just about anything with this stuff. I saw a guy cut a bike in half and then fix it with fiber fix and jump the bike off a ramp, and it still stayed together. That video's on YouTube. You can check that out if you want. Great stuff for your bug out bag or to just have around for fixing stuff when you're not able to go out and just go to Walmart and buy a new one. And then the second prize winner is also going to get paperback copies of the Prepper Handbook by Zion Prepper and Start Prepping by Tim Young. And here's how you win. You leave a review for Ichabod, 7 Cows, Ugly and Gaunt, Book 2 on Amazon.com. Then send me an email including your Amazon screen name that you use for the review to prepperrecon@gmail.com. Use Ichabod Giveaway in the subject line. Then the drawing for the winner will be held on July 31st, which is a Sunday, and I'll post the Amazon screen name of the winner on prepperrecon.com, and you'll also be notified via email. So Godspeed in the drawing. Now let's get into today's topic. EMP is a catastrophic threat to our way of life. The Congressional EMP Commission estimated that about 90% of the population would die off within 2 years of an EMP, and that's because of they wouldn't have access to water, a lack of food, just a complete lack of infrastructure. There's no police, there's no grocery stores, there's no water treatment centers, there's no sewage treatment facilities. Just everything starts breaking down, and starvation and disease and dehydration and everything else. Just they said it will completely wipe out America. If you're new to the show and you're not really up to speed on what an EMP is, you can go to prepperrecon.com. And on the homepage, you can click the podcast archives tab at the top of the page on the menu bar and scroll down, and you can listen to my interview with Dr. Peter Pry, which was on the Congressional EMP Commission, and that'll give you a really, really good overview of what an EMP is and what the Commission would expect to happen in America should we have an EMP attack. If you want your family to be among that elite 10% that survive the EMP, here are the must-dos that you need to do right now and start working on right now to get up to speed and be ready should we be hit with an EMP attack. Must-do number one. If you want to survive an EMP, the first thing you need to do is assess your current location. What will your neighborhood look like 3 days after an EMP? 3 weeks after an EMP, and 3 months after an EMP. Remember, an EMP means the end of civilization as we know it. Without power, cars, or computers, we'll have no police, no grocery stores, no municipal water, no sewer services, no fire, no EMS. If you're in a metropolitan area, the images we've been watching from Venezuela of looting and food riots, those are all going to be happening in your neighborhood within the first day or two after an EMP. 3 weeks into the crisis, cities will be filled with the stench of rotting corpses. Without water, you can survive roughly 3 days, and the majority of the population has no idea how to filter water, purify water. 3 weeks after the EMP, people in the cities with no survival skills will have either died of dehydration or waterborne illnesses. The people who are still alive will be either those with survival skills who've prepared beforehand or the hardcore criminal element who've taken what they need by violence. You do not want to try to ride out the aftermath of an EMP near a major population center. Must do number two. Decide where you're going to ride out the chaos. After assessing your current location, you have to decide if you're going to be safe in that location for the foreseeable future. If the answer is no, you have to develop an alternative plan. This is a huge task, so start thinking about it now. Do you have friends or family who live in a rural location that you could go to within 24 hours? Remember that you probably won't have a vehicle unless you own a car built before 1980. Even then, you want a contingency plan. If you're planning to stay in your current home until D-Day, you'll have to bug out the second the EMP hits because your window of opportunity to get ahead of the chaos will be very short. I would expect cities to become violent in the first 24 hours and more rural areas to break down within 3 to 5 days. So if you're planning to travel a long distance, a bike is probably your best option. Make sure you're riding your bike regularly and that you're keeping the tires filled with air. Bugging out to locations more than 100 miles away shouldn't even be considered. A big problem for many is that they work in the city and they can't uproot their family, which would cause a major personal financial crisis. And doing all of that for a threat that may never happen. If that's you, consider moving to the suburbs. You'll have to pay for it with a longer commute, but your reward will likely be a larger property at a lower price. Hopefully you'll be able to find a home with more room for storing supplies and a bigger yard to plant fruit trees and start a garden. While it's not the best solution, it will raise your chances of survival. And in a scenario like an EMP, every little advantage can be the difference between life or death. Must do number 3. Now that you've decided where you're going to ride out the collapse, start stocking that place up. If you elected to bug out to the country with friends or relatives, sit down with them and develop a plan. They probably don't want a ton of your junk cluttering up their house, but they might be open to you purchasing a storage shed and placing it on their property. You can stock up a year's worth of long-term storage food, ammo, clothing, first aid supplies, and toiletries that aren't susceptible to the climate. Since a storage shed isn't climate controlled, stick to things that won't be affected by extreme temperatures. If you stock up shampoo and it freezes outside, it's probably going to bust and make a mess when it thaws out. I did a show on food storage last week, so if you missed it, go back and listen to it for great tips on food storage. Finally, stock up on seeds of foods that grow easily in your area. Do the research now while you have YouTube and the internet. Start a small garden now, just to start learning what the challenges are that you'll have in trying to produce your own food. The learning curve is steep, and if you wait till game day, you probably won't make the cut to the 10% that survive. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Katie Armor offers affordable body armor including level 3 trauma plates made of AR-500 steel. They can endure multiple rounds from pistols and rifles up to 7.62 NATO. Order today from katiearmor.com. That's C-A-T-I armor.com.
Following a crippling EMP attack against the USA, college student turned survivalist Danny Walker finally makes it to his secure rural location. No sooner does Danny arrive than he is given another petrifying prophetic vision of the chaos still to come. The country has been brought to its knees, and the thin veneer of civility has been torn to shreds by the savagery lurking just below the surface. Danny has survived the EMP, but will he live through the most vicious era in U.S. history? Buy Ichabod, Book 2 of 7 Cows, Ugly and Gaunt, from Amazon.com today in Kindle, paperback, or audio edition.
Must do number 4. Figure out how you're going to get water to the place where you've selected to ride out the mayhem. It's impossible to store enough water to survive long term. You have to find a reliable water source. If you're near a lake, pond, or stream, figure out how you're going to filter the water and purchase the filters and materials you'll need. If you have a well, either for your house or for irrigation, you can have a hand pump installed for around $150, everything included. That's the pump, the base, and the installation. If you'd like to see my setup, go to YouTube and search Prepper Recon backup pitcher pump. And that's going to take you to a video of the pump that I put on my existing wellhead. And all the costs were less than $150, and it's the best money I ever spent. The least reliable source of water would be a rain catch system, because there you're dependent on the weather for your very survival. You can purchase food-grade 55-gallon barrels either online or from Craigslist to catch the runoff from your gutters. But this water still needs to be purified because you don't know what the birds have been doing on your roof. You'll need to store as much water as you can every time it rains because you never know when the next dry spell is coming. Must do number 5. Secure your retreat. Regardless of how far you are, desperate people are going to come knocking. If you're planning on taking others in, make provisions for them now. Do not alter your plan after the EMP happens. Obviously, you'll need the proper weapon systems to fend off attacks and looters. You'll need enough people to maintain a 24-hour guard. Night vision's a big spin, but most bad things happen at night, so it's worth considering. Gen 3 equipment will run you about $3,000. Bob Griswold of Ready Made Resources offers a wide range of night vision equipment, and he did tell me that supplies are very, very tight due to large orders by the military. So if that's something you're considering, act now. You can get Gen 1 night vision for around $500, but it's nothing like the Gen 3 stuff. If Gen 1 is all you can afford, get it. Remember, in the land of the blind, the man with one eye is king. So those are the must-dos for surviving an EMP. One more thing that I want to give you, and we'll think of it more as a bonus tip for surviving an EMP than a must-do. But you want to think about bartering. You don't want to, this isn't something you want to depend on. You want to have all your supplies, all your food, all of your weapons, your ammo, your clothing, everything that you could possibly think that you're going to need already pre-positioned on the property that you're planning on riding out the chaos. But inevitably, things are going to come up, and things are going to arise that you absolutely need to survive, that either it broke, or you ran out, or it was stolen, or it molded, or it was ruined, or something went wrong in your plan. So you have to have something for contingencies. And for the most part, you want to stay on that property and go out as little as possible, because every time you go out, you're taking a risk, and you're putting yourself in jeopardy, you're putting your team in jeopardy. And so the safest place to be is at your secure facility and just holding down the fort and not leaving. And that's the same in just about every disaster. You want to just be in a position that you don't have to leave. But inevitably, for a long-term survival situation, things are going to come up, and you need to have some things to trade. Gold and silver are great forms of wealth preservation, but those aren't really good for a survival situation, at least in the initial stages. People are going to be looking for things that they need to get by. If you look at Venezuela right now, nobody wants gold. Nobody wants silver. They want rice right now. Those people are starving to death. They have, they're eating cats and dogs. The cats and dogs are running out. Unfortunately, the thing that comes after cats and dogs is, typically cannibalism. So those people want food. So your number one thing that you want to stock up to have something to barter with is going to be extra food. Besides that, if you're in a community and you're depending on others for mutual defense, but they're not necessarily part of your compound or part of your team, those people might be okay to barter for ammunition with those people. But you would never want to barter ammunition with people that are outsiders that you don't know who they are, because that ammunition could very well be used to overrun your compound and take everything that you have and kill you and your family. So other things that might be barter items are going to be things like hygiene items, shampoo, razor, soap, laundry detergent, anything like that. But your primary thing is going to be food, because that's the thing that everybody's going to need. And for that first year, while people are trying to adjust and learn how to produce on their own, it's going to be very, very difficult. And if you've got extra food, then that's going to be gold in a post-collapse scenario. Water filters. That's think about the things that the EMP Congressional Commission said that people are going to die of. Anything that can prevent those people from dying are going to be things that are going to be of value for bartering in a post-collapse society. Antibiotics. We talked about in the giveaway today. We're giving away fish antibiotics for the first prize winner. That's going to be part of the prize package. Just the smallest little cut can cause a really, really bad infection in a post-collapse scenario. People are using tools that they're not used to. They're performing tasks that they don't really have the skill set for. All of these things increase the odds of injury, and injury increases the odds of infection, and infection increases the odds of death. So just something as simple as a bottle of antibiotics, which are going to be completely inaccessible, that could be gold in a post-collapse scenario, and people aren't going to care in that situation whether it came from a doctor or whether it has a picture of a fish on the front of the bottle. So fish antibiotics are going to be just fine for folks in a barter situation in a post EMP attack scenario. So I hope this is giving you some extra things to think about for stocking up things for barter. Oh, another thing is batteries, because there's not going to be any power, and unless you've got some type of a solar generator to recharge your own batteries, that's going to be something that's going to be really, really in high demand for flashlights, for night vision equipment, or whatever, for handheld communication devices, for walkie-talkies that people had stashed in in Faraday cages, which you can make a little Faraday cage out of a metal ammo box. You pull that little rubber seal out of the top of it, stuff all your, line it with cardboard, put your goods inside there, and then use aluminum, HVAC tape around the seal of the top of the ammo box, and that's gonna block rays. If you put everything inside a Mylar bag inside that ammo box, that's gonna add an extra layer of protection if you wanna have some walkie-talkies and electronic devices for after the EMP. That'll help. Every little layer increases your odds of your sensitive electronics surviving the blast. I hope that's been helpful, and I hope you'll start thinking about how you'd handle surviving an EMP. Once again, my new book, Ichabod, is out on Amazon, and I'll have links to purchase the paperback and Kindle editions in today's show, and the audio should be out in a couple of weeks. I spent a lot of time researching and thinking about what society and what America would look like and what you'd have to do to survive an EMP when I was writing Ichabod. So it's a great way for readers to put themselves in the mindset of Danny and his friends as they have to stock up, bug out, and form a mutual assistance group to fend off marauders. Prepper fiction is just a great way to get those prepper juices going and get you thinking outside of the box and thinking how you would handle certain situations, and do you have the preps, and do you have the skills to survive the particular scenario that the characters are having to go through in the book. So just a great way to get your creative prepper side going. And also all of my books, they have no sex scenes and no filthy language. They're all family friendly, and they all have a Christian message. So it's something that you won't have to worry about being embarrassed by the sex or offended by the use of God's name in vain or F-bombs or anything like that. And don't forget to enter the drawing. You might win some great survival gear that will help you be among the 10% that make it through the aftermath of an EMP. All the details will be in today's show notes at prepperrecon.com. Thanks for listening. God bless, and happy prepping.
Get prepared before disaster strikes. PrepperRecon.com offers MOLLE-compatible individual first aid kits for your home, auto, or bug-out bag. These kits have everything you need to address a traumatic injury, including an Israeli battle dressing, quick clot, EMT shears, suture kit, steri-strips, tourniquet, tough strip bandages, and so much more. Kits are available in OD Green, Coyote, Black, and ACU. $99 includes shipping. Go to PrepperRecon.com and click the Store tab at the top of the home page. Order today before it's too late.
We just passed the 3rd anniversary of the Prepper Recon podcast, and it couldn't have happened without you. To say thanks, I want to send you a free PDF copy of the 7-Step Survival Plan. It's a basic blueprint that will help you to prioritize your efforts and make sure you're not missing any important areas of prepping. To get your free copy, simply go to PrepperRecon.com and click the 7-Step Survival Plan free PDF banner that's directly under the menu bar at the top of the homepage. Thanks again for 3 great years of the Prepper Recon podcast.